welcome to another episode of Walking Movies. I'm Nick, and I'm recording this on the 11th of February 2024. It's coming up to 7 o'clock, and I'm actually walking to cinema to see Dune in an IMAX re-release before the new film comes out, because I've yet to see it. But we're not here to talk about Dune, because 2 nights ago I went to cinema to see The Iron Claw, a film that I'd been looking forward to for, well, pretty much since it was announced, actually. A film from A24 and BBC Films, weirdly, about the very famous Von Erich wrestling family. And that night it was raining, so I couldn't really record. I was going to record my review at home after the event, and I'd not had dinner, so I'd come home, had some dinner, and it's like, oh, it's too late to record, and so I put it off. But I've had a few days to be able to stew on the film and now talk about it. So, The Iron Claw stars Zac Efron as Kevin Von Erich, the eldest surviving member of the Von Erich family, and it portrays the Von Erichs through the 70s and 80s and into the very early 90s and what happens to them. And it's one of those stories where it's almost unbelievable, the tragic situations that the Von Erichs find themselves in, but it is all true. And if you are a wrestling fan, or if you are aware of the kind of lore of the Von Erichs, then you kind of know the story already. They take a few shortcuts, and obviously creative license with history, so the timelines don't actually match up with reality. One of the Von Erich brothers isn't in the film at all, Chris. They cut his character out of the film completely, probably because they only had just over 2 hours to try and tell the story. There was a lot to pack in, which people have seen as disrespectful, and obviously, yes, I understand that, but I also, when the film starts, it says inspired by true events, and I think that's a good way of kind of covering your ass when it comes to films like this, because immediately you've said that it's inspired by, it's like loosely based on, or something like that. It means that you can take some creative license. But Zac Efron is really good in the role. It's an interesting performance. It's not like anything I've ever seen him do before, and I think he does a good job with it. Harry Dickinson plays one of his younger brothers, David, and Jeremy Allen White, who you will probably know from The Bear, is Kerry, who for most wrestling fans is the most famous of the Von Erichs, because he actually had a run in the WWF towards the end of his life as a Texas Tornado. But it's it's a film I can recommend. I think it's a really good film. I think the performances are good. I think the story is thoroughly interesting, unfortunately. But it's a hard film to love, I think it's safe to say, and that's because it's a sad film. It's a sad film about sad events. And I didn't walk out of there enjoying it as much as I did when I saw The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. That for me is still the kind of high bar when it comes to wrestling films, I guess. But I mean, it was still really enjoyable. I'm really glad I saw it, and it's a shame it didn't get recognised more at the Oscars or anything like that, because I think people were thinking it could be an Oscar kind of contender like The Wrestler was, but it didn't get nominated. It got nominated for other film awards, but not the Oscars. So look, what would I score it out of 10? 7.5, I think. I hate giving half scores. It is a bit of a cheat, really, but it was better than a 7 and not quite as good as an 8. So, it's a film that I really recommend. I'm really glad I saw it. I wanted to see it early because you're never sure with films like this how long it's actually going to be screening for. We went to the 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock showing of the film. There was 3 showings a day for the first week of release. I saw it with my friend Gary. I'll put his YouTube link below. And we met on a wrestling forum many years ago, and we a few times a year we'll go and see films together. So it was a no-brainer for us to go and see a wrestling film together. But it was quite a packed screening, which is obviously good to see. And as I said, I'm glad I saw it, and I think it's a really good film. But I found it harder to enjoy than The Wrestler, weirdly. I guess because The Wrestler's kind of inspired by various wrestlers, whilst the Iron Claw is about the Von Erichs. It is about a real wrestling family and their tragedies. So, but yeah, it's still a really good film. I do really recommend it. If you've got any interest in wrestling, and even if you don't have interest in wrestling, I think you'll be able to enjoy it. It's one of those kind of films, just really well done. The only other criticism I had was I didn't like how they filmed the wrestling itself. I found the camera work to be far too close to what they were trying to do. Although I am speaking to people more in the know, that's kind of how the wrestling was filmed back then for the promotion that they worked for. So maybe it was more of a homage than I realised. I just wasn't keen on the start. So there you go. But it's a good film, and I it's a shame it didn't do better in award season, but doesn't stop it being a good film. So go and see The Iron Claw. Right, that's it for this episode. A short one, probably the shortest walking movies I've done for a hell of a long time. Hopefully that will affect the YouTube algorithms, who knows. But I'm going to turn this light off now so I can actually see. I've had to stop walking because it's so dark here and this is so bright, it's actually stopping me being able to see properly. So I'm going to turn this off, go to the cinema, watch Dune, and be back with another episode relatively soon. And of course, as always, until next time, flippers.